What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media. This is the Trust the Bank podcast, the recap reaction midweek stream, and had to wait until after Monday Night Football because the Dolphins were going up against the Tennessee Titans. And I don't know about you, Joshua, but this might have been the first time I've ever rooted for the Tennessee Titans. And shout out to them, man. These are the exact type of games the Titans win. The wild underdog against the heavy AFC opponent, and all of a sudden it's just like they just play physical football and they get it done. And shout out to them for coming back and winning that game because the AFC is now led, without a doubt. No tiebreakers, no nothing, by the Baltimore Ravens. They now have a very good chance to be the number one seed and get that first round bye in the postseason. How you feeling about that?
Man, one part of me has PTSD and another part of me is excited as hell for the simple fact, last time we were the first number one seed and, we won out and we had that bye, man. Hey, man. And in Baltimore terms, we was out there shagging and dragging. So we was having a good old time. But you know what? I will say for this year, it seems like a different atmosphere. It seems like a different team. It seems like, a different group that's more intense, This year's defense isn't the same type of defense in 2019 that we had. I feel like this defense is more physical. We go at the quarterback more, and we cause way more disruption in regards to turnovers. This offense isn't the same as 2019 offense. One, because Lamar Jackson's not putting up MVP numbers, but he's doing the damn thing, and he's coming up in clutch moments. And also, we gotta give respect when it's due. This wide receiver core is a hell of a lot better than that 2019 wide receiver core. So we do have the pieces. Yes, we do have some injuries, some dinks and dunks here with some of our key guys. But the great thing is we get some back. Shout out to Pepe Williams being on the 53-man roster.
Yeah,
and activated. I mean, he's coming around, in my opinion, some of the best time where we're going to need that in-depth coverage from some of our guys to step up. So I'm looking forward to seeing him make his appearance on the field. Also, to shout out to Tylan Wallace, getting his return on special teams and making things happen. He definitely took that moment and ran with it, literally. So, I love what this team is bringing. I love what this team is doing. I feel like, knock on some wood, I feel like this team can go all the way, man. I really feel it. And I hope we do. I hope we go all the way, and I hope we win it, man.
Yeah, this is a really interesting Baltimore Ravens team because it's different. It's different than the Ravens team we've had the last few years. This is explosive. This is big plays. Lamar Jackson had 3 20-plus yard air travel touchdowns this week, which were actually his first 3 of the season, which is surprising because the Ravens have been incredibly explosive throughout the season. And I am going to look up while we're discussing the league leaders in explosive plays. The Ravens have been neck and neck with the Dolphins throughout the entire season in leading that category. But Keaton Mitchell's explosive. But Lamar Jackson, you brought it up. He's not putting up MVP numbers, but I feel like he's putting up MVP performances. He's going out there and you watch the game, and it may not seem like, oh, Lamar Jackson statistically took over the game. And then all of a sudden you're just like, well, at the same time, Lamar Jackson completely carried the Ravens down the stretch. And that's what we saw in this game was we saw the Ravens just go out there and make plays whenever they needed it, especially Lamar Jackson dodging Aaron Donald, reducing the pressure. Shout out to Zay Flowers for some big receptions, obviously the touchdown and then 2-point conversion right after. Lamar made some great throws on both of those plays. Odell Beckham Jr. Twice has to look and flip shoulders he's looking over, which is very difficult to do. One of them ends up as a one-handed first down reception for about 15 to 20 yards. And then the other one ends up being about a 46-yard touchdown down the stretch of the game. Odell is doing exactly what we wanted him to do. And we talked about it before, Joshua. He's not going to just come in and be wide receiver 1 or be dominant from day one. It's just, he hasn't played football in a year and a half. And all of a sudden, it's he's picking up steam. And all of a sudden, it's okay, him and Zay are looking really good. The receivers are catching better. I'm still going to knock on wood because it's always a little bit of an issue. There were some drops. Bateman, Here's the I'm going to talk about. I want to talk about Rashad Bateman really quickly.
Yeah,
I
no
think
problem. Go ahead.
a lot of people hate Rashad Bateman,
Yeah.
and I think I know exactly why. I think Rashad Bateman is a horrible deep threat, um, and that's what he's utilized. Like that's when he gets targeted is when he's the deep threat, which is frustrating because he gets open. He's a great separator. He gets really open down the field, and he's got speed. Rashad Bateman is not a ball tracker. He just does not. That's what made Hollywood great. Hollywood was a great receiver for Lamar because Hollywood was unreal at tracking the ball and knew exactly where to position his body. Now he had a little bit of thing of like when to grip the football so that it doesn't hit the ground.
Mm-hmm.
But Hollywood always had his hands under it. Rashad Bateman's not great at that. That's not his strong suit. What is his strong suit? Is getting open. All of a sudden in this game, they were targeting Bateman down the field. He stops running his route. And then the next one, it ends up getting intercepted. Not saying the interception was Bateman's fault, but he didn't make a great effort towards it. But I think he was also a little bit off on playing the football. So he's kind of leaning back rather than being able to attack it. And the defender made it a great play. But I think I tweeted out, I was like, stop throwing to Bateman deep. And all of a sudden they start throwing like these 15 to 20-yard shots to Bateman on the sideline. And it's like, open, sideline grab, sideline grab. It's like, that's what he's for. His comp was Keenan Allen in the draft. His comp was Keenan Allen after watching him. His comp is still Keenan Allen. He gets open. He gets separation. He's not a deep threat wide receiver. Just because he has speed doesn't make you a great deep threat. Let him do what he does best. And I think Todd Monken is starting to learn that like Bateman's a chain mover. We can send Odell deep because he can make those acrobatic plays. We can send Zay Flowers deep. He can make some difficult catches. But really, we're starting to use these guys to their strength, get Isaiah Likely open in space, get Zay Flowers on crossing routes where he can utilize his speed. We saw a touchdown in the last Ravens game on a crossing route in the end zone, touchdown in this game to take the lead down the stretch on a crossing route. What was that end zone? I don't remember if the end zone, the 2-point conversion was a crossing route. I think it was an out route.
Was it our favorite play to the right? The levels?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. I saw the play call. I saw the marshmallow right. I was like, oh, no. Oh, no, it happened.
The out to the level out? Yeah, man. Listen.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, man. It's but how you feeling about us having the first seed, man? I got to know.
I think it's better because I think that the wild card teams aren't great, but I think that home field advantage in Baltimore is really beneficial because no team, I feel like the Titans are the perfect team to go on the road and win because they run the football, they control the clock, and they're able to just kind of like take the momentum out of the crowd with Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
And they had a good defense that year as well. This year, I don't see a heavy run team. It's explosive teams. And what do you not want to play on the road? Explosive teams. We know what it's like going in and having to play against Tyreek Hill on the road. It sucks. Playing Mahomes on the road in Arrowhead. That's an unbelievably difficult place to play. Having the AFC run through Baltimore is more beneficial because of the Ravens' play style and the play style of the opposing teams, which is all these big play threats. You do not want to let the crowd get involved, and you want to let the Ravens crowd really get excited and amped when they're playing. So for me, I'm all about that 1 seed. I made a video a couple of weeks ago about why the Ravens should get the 1 seed.
Mm-hmm.
And it was more because of the opponents in the wild card round. But because if you're the 1 seed, you're likely to play the best wild card team because the best wild card usually beats the 4 seed. But like the best wild card team right now is Cleveland with Joe Flacco, which shout out to January Joe right there. You don't want to play him down the stretch, but like
no, seriously,
it's not like we're gonna have in years past it's been like, oh, you play the 13-3 Chargers who were the number 1 wild card team. It's like that was the second best team in the league. Like that's what the Ravens had to do when Lamar Jackson was a rookie, right? They played the wild card Chargers. And the Chargers were the second best team in the AFC that year, maybe the third best team, but it was like them and the Chiefs were the two best in the regular season. So I feel like that's a big issue, but there's no like crazy good wild card team this year. As of now, some teams are getting hot. The Buffalo Bills, the Denver Broncos, I don't want to count them out. But I think that the best teams so far this season are the division leaders so far.
I mean, honestly, man, a team that I was really worried about making it to the playoffs and us possibly had to play them was the Texans. Granted, we played the Texans early. CJ Stroud, that was his welcome to the NFL. But, you know, I mean, hopefully, I don't know what his injury report is on him, but, you know, they finally started catching wind. I mean, even Tank Dell, I don't know his injury report neither, but we clearly saw that they was finally starting to pick things up. That was one team I made was kind of, I want to say scared, but I definitely had some concerns because, you know, once the game, I guess we could say, started slowing down for him, the team started picking up. D'Amico Ryans got those guys fired up. That defense is playing good football. So that was like honestly one of my only teams that I possibly had concern about. I mean, when we look at Miami, you never know with them. I mean, Monday night proved us right. You know, Tennessee Titans is a team under 500, and Miami. Correct me if I'm wrong, McConnell. Their record against teams over 500. I mean, excuse me, under 500 hasn't been the best this year.
Yeah.
And Kansas City Chiefs, you don't know which Kansas City Chiefs you're getting right now. I mean, they're more focused on the defensive side of the ball. Not saying Pat Mahomes don't make things happen, but Pat Mahomes seems like he doesn't have the magic that was once there when Eric Bieniemy was there. And I'm not saying Eric Bieniemy is, you know, the vocal point of, you know, Pat Mahomes' success. Andy Reid, obviously a great head coach. He's been doing it. He's been doing the dang thing for years. But I do feel like, you know, the exiting of their offensive coordinator, and also, you know, Tyreek Hill being gone this year as well. You can see the difference, you know, some players and some coaching staff it makes. So this AFC is kind of up for grabs right now. I mean, we definitely going to see what, you know, what's going to happen this Sunday against the Jaguars, who I feel like can be a possible good contender in the next couple of years. You know, Trevor Lawrence, I did think he was going to be out a couple of games, but shout out to him, you know, trying to muster the strength to try to play against us, especially knowing that we get active quarterbacks. You know, so I'm loving the competition. I'm loving the way the season ended. McConnell, I don't know about you, man. I'm more excited for Christmas Day because that's the quote unquote, you know, prequel to the Super Bowl. I do feel like the Eagles I feel like the Eagles are going to get it together and make their way to the Super Bowl. I think it's going to be Hurts against Lamar. We finally see these two difference makers finally go at it. You know, they didn't get the opportunity and chance to go at it in college. So to see both of them go at it in the NFL, that's going to be a hell of a show, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the next 3 weeks are the most important 3 weeks for any team in the NFL. You play division leader Jacksonville Jaguars, who you're fighting for that 1 seed with, and just getting a feel of them before the postseason because it's a good chance you have to play them. And then you go in primetime, and then you play in primetime against probably the best team in the NFL so far, in the San Francisco 49ers, who are probably going to be the 1 seed at that point, and it could be 1 seed against 1 seed. So that's a huge game. And then you play against the Miami Dolphins, another team that there's a good chance that you play in the postseason. So, like, it's right down the stretch. It's 3 crucial games. And then don't forget they play the Pittsburgh Steelers the next week as their final game of the season. So it's not an easy final stretch. Right. It's an incredibly difficult stretch. It's going to be physical. And I think, you know, I marked that on my calendar, that Christmas Day game right when I saw it. I can't wait for it. It's got even more hype than, you know, I could have ever anticipated. And I think the MVP comes out of that game. I think Brock Purdy and Lamar Jackson. I think whoever gets the 1 seed in the AFC or NFC is probably going to win the award. And the 3 contenders right now are Lamar, Purdy, and Dak. If Lamar wins against Brock Purdy in primetime on Christmas, that could propel him. Those are the top 3 guys in MVP. And if the Ravens finish it, 14-3, and Lamar Jackson, as always, performs in prime time, it's going to be really hard not to give him that award, even though statistically, he's not having an unreal season, but it's like, dude, he's just like, this is the best Lamar Jackson we've ever seen. And that's saying a lot because 2019 Lamar was unreal, but like this one's like, dude, this guy's passing, he's running, he's making the right decision. I feel like he's not turning it over nearly as much as he used to, especially in the pocket. Shout out to the offensive line, but they're doing a really good job. And I think they need to get momentum going into the postseason. And yes, we're going to have potentially a bye, which could halt that momentum. But I think the biggest thing is getting confidence, because I think Lamar Jackson and Harbaugh and Tucker and every player that was on that 2019 roster and even that 2020 roster, they're starting to learn. They know what they're doing in the postseason now. They won a game that went 1-1 the last time. Lamar got hurt against the Bills. That was a great Bills team. Let's not act like that Bills team wasn't a great team.
He was getting after it for sure. Yeah.
It's the Bills team that lost a coin toss to Patrick Mahomes. And that's why they didn't go to the Super Bowl, because they would have smacked the crap out of the Bengals. They matched up really well against them. But overall, like, they know you can't look past anybody, and they want to watch some film, because that 4-5 seed matchup is going to be really interesting to watch. And remember, the NFL, unlike the NBA, unlike Major League Baseball, the number 1 seed plays the worst team going into the playoffs that makes it to the next round. So if the 6th seed upsets someone, right, we would play the 6th seed if we're the 1 seed. So getting to be able to watch that, I think, is valuable. And yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how we perform down the stretch.
Absolutely, I definitely agree. I see somebody ask, do we think Kyle should rest this week? What's your thoughts on that?
I think Kyle Hamilton, if Deron Bland wasn't having as great of a season, Kyle Hamilton would have a good shot at Defensive Player of the Year. I feel like we should get Kyle out there. I know we like to have players fully healthy, but when you get into January, nobody's fully healthy. And if he's good to go, like, obviously don't play him if he's hurt. But if the doctors give him the clear, I think this is a really big football game. If this was, week 5, I don't think you play him.
Yeah.
But I think at this point in the season, we saw what the defense was with and without Kyle Hamilton last week. Kyle Hamilton is probably the most important player on that defense because he does absolutely everything. We definitely need him for the 49ers to cover Debo and cover McCaffrey and cover George Kittle.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really want that to be his first game back from an injury. If he misses a week, that would be really tough.
That's a hell of a game. It'd be like Marlon Humphrey playing Sunday, right?
Exactly. Like, oh, your first game back is Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. And it's like, okay. That's in the rain on a wet field.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, man. I mean, honestly, like you said, these are times where everybody's not going to be 100%. You're going to have guys 80%. You're going to have guys 70%. Hell, you may even got a guy out there playing 40%, but he's going to play. This is the time where gladiators show their best stuff. I definitely feel like Kyle Hamilton, if healthy, if cleared, if ready to go, if 80%, should be out there playing against Jacksonville. Like you say, he just plays an intricate piece to this defense. Yeah, we're going to get Pepe Williams back, but who knows how many snaps and reps Pepe Williams would get. I mean, you do have a Darryl Worley. I'm not putting no big emphasis on his role. But you can also move Geno Stone out there too. But this is the time where you see who's those real ballers. And when you find out who your dogs is and who your real ballers is, man, you feed off that energy. And I feel like, that defense, I know we love Roquan Smith and we feed off his energy, but in that back end, when it comes to that secondary, they feed off of Kyle. They feed off of Kyle for sure. And it shows a lot how they play off of him and how everybody, is successful in that secondary when Kyle's out there on the field. So I definitely feel like, it should be all hands on deck. Everybody should be out there getting after it, flying to the ball. And if they even have to limit the snaps, do what you have to do. But get them on the field. I definitely feel like we should get them on the field.
Yeah. And Joshua, we got to talk about him.
Come on now.
We've been talking about this guy for a few years. Malik
Cunningham. Come on now.
Welcome to the Baltimore Ravens. It looks like
Yes,
Malik
sir.
Cunningham is our future backup quarterback. Harbaugh said it was a long-term move. This is a great question. Do you think Monken may give him a couple of opportunities? Because with Bill Belichick's system, they were training him or kind of molding him to become a return specialist, gadget player potentially, in addition to being that backup quarterback role. Do you think we're going to get him involved, or do you think we should get him involved at all?
Could he possibly be our Wes Welker, our Taysom Hill? I absolutely think so. Do I feel like he gets implemented into the offense anytime soon? No. I feel like they possibly use him. This is what I'm seeing right now. Either we use him, depending what our record look like, January 7th, or let him get caught up to speed, let him practice, let him run his reps. Put that new wrinkle in one of those playoffs games where it counts. Yes, it will be a big ass moment for him, but he had bigger moments in Louisville. I trust that he will not F up. I know we've been waiting for the Odell Beckham Jr. Touchdown pass, but it might be the Malik Cunningham to Odell. We never know. I feel like we should keep this. I feel like we should keep this weapon possibly hidden for the playoffs.
I think we could definitely use him in certain like goal line sets. If it's first and goal at the 2, have him out wide, Gus Edwards behind Lamar, and then just motion him across, and then just hand the ball up the middle to Gus Edwards. I think Malik Cunningham will just kind of add a piece of like he can throw. He's also got speed, so like maybe they're using him for something. I think him as just a decoy initially, and then maybe like use him 1 or 2 plays each of the next couple of weeks as a decoy, not even giving him the football. And all of a sudden in the playoffs, you run him behind Lamar. Lamar pitches it to him. He throws it to Odell down the field. Like he can throw. He doesn't have a bad arm. He's not a great quarterback, but he can still throw. And you can still utilize that. I think we utilize – I wish with Greg Roman we utilize the Heisman package a little bit more. And I think Malik Cunningham's a much better runner than Tyler Huntley. He's not better than Lamar, but he's better than – like Tyler Huntley's like a deep – like Tyler Huntley has some speed, but I don't think he's like a great runner like between the tackles or anything like that. I think Malik Cunningham can maybe add a little bit of juice on the edge if you want to have him – running a jet sweep where Lamar Jackson gives it or doesn't. Right. I think he just adds a lot of what's he doing? Why is he there? And just adds more confusion to the defense, potentially.
And you know what the funny thing is about that? When we saw Joe Flacco out there and Lamar out there, back in the day, Joe just stood on the field.
I can do the Joe right now.
Literally.
Every time.
I feel like Lamar would have so much fun with it because he is such a big – you can tell when people are having fun in their craft. And when he's out there, he's having fun. He will go along with all of it. If it came down to a play where he catch the ball, I feel like he'll try to call his number. Like, Malik, I'm here. Just like how Isaiah called his number, up the sideline, man. So I definitely feel like that's going to that wrinkle into the offense. It's going to catch some people off guard for sure.
I stand by this quote. I stand by this. This is correct. But another thing that's like beneficial is like we're getting Lamar Jackson backups that Lamar loves. Like high school buddy, former college teammate, guys that Lamar's been rooting for. And we've done that to just make him happy. But like Joe didn't want Lamar on the field because Joe was losing his job. Lamar's like excited when like Snoop gets to go out there. He's like, "Let's go, Snoop!" Like he's so excited about it because that's his boy right there. Like you want to see those guys get the opportunity, and shout out to Tylan Wallace because Tylan Wallace did that exact thing, right? Joshua, how many times have we been waiting on Tylan Wallace to even not to play, but to get an opportunity? He gets an opportunity to return a punt, which was never something that we like heavily discussed. It was like Prochet was the backup returner, but Prochet sucked at returner. Like Prochet wasn't good. Shout out to Prochet for returning that punt for the Cleveland Browns where he muffed it. But like it was like, oh, I saw it and I was like, oh, Tylan's returning. Okay. And in my mind, all I was thinking about, I was like, he like makes the first guy miss, and I was like, get to midfield. Because then we're like almost in Tucker range. And it was like he's getting tripped up, and I'm like, all right, we're still in Tucker range. And then he keeps going. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, is that Joshua? Do you think that's the hell yeah, coach, I want to go for it moment of this season? Is the Tylan Wallace walk-off touchdown in the rain? Like, I felt like when Lamar did that to beat the Seattle Seahawks or to put the game away, it was just okay. Like, we're clicking now. Do you think this can be like a jump point for the Ravens, a trampoline for the rest of the season to move forward with for momentum, or is it being a special teams play not as effective?
Man, but that's the crazy thing about it. You remember when we made that Super Bowl run in 2012, and I believe it was what's his name, Mike Tomlin, that try to chip up Jacoby Jones. Every time we saw Jacoby get that ball, man, and just run with it, we just knew something special was going to happen, or he was going to try to make something happen. Tylan Wallace has been that guy. Once given the opportunity, he's not going to miss his moment. Unfortunately, Devin Duvernay went down. I hope he has a speedy recovery, and we get him back for playoffs. But sometimes you need that spark from the special teams, especially when the offense had moments of constantly, going 3 and out, things of that nature. I think how many times did we punt the ball against LA?
Let's see. I would 3? Guess I would think 3. 3 sounds right.
Okay.
Let's see. I can check right now. Almost right now. Here we go. I'll find this game eventually.
And while you're doing that, I would just add on, like, every time during the Super Bowl run, each game within the season, it has some miraculous moments. That was that. So I definitely feel like, they're going to keep on riding with Tylan Wallace in the backfield on special teams. It's just to see what he does. And he has more wiggle than Devin Duvernay. And he has more, breakaway tackle power as well. Because Devin Duvernay, when he gets the ball, he's kind of stiff, man. He don't got no wiggle.
He's fast. He's just really fast.
Yeah. But he needs a lane. And he doesn't create. With Tylan Wallace, he literally created a lane. And sometimes you need that type of guy. You need that agile guy, that speed guy, when they return the ball. So I hope Tylan Wallace can definitely improve on that and definitely capitalize on this opportunity that's been given to him and help us out.
Yeah, and I think a couple of players had big games, right? Odell, long touchdown catch with a couple of really good receptions. Odell's a huge momentum guy. Zay Flowers, game-changing touchdown and 2-point conversion. That's going to give him momentum. He started the catch. I talked about it earlier. Odell was catching that touchdown bug. He still got it. Zay's catching it too. All of a sudden, Zay's getting open in the end zone. Lamar's finding him. And that's the difference of having Mark. Like, people are like, Jordan Addison has been so much better than Zay. It's like, dude, Zay's not a red zone threat because we had Mark Andrews. And it was just like Mark Andrews or Gus Edwards every time in the red zone.
Yeah.
But now it's becoming Zay getting open in the end zone. And then Isaiah Likely down the stretch. Like, just huge plays from all of these different guys that we haven't seen make a lot of big-time plays yet this year, especially Isaiah Likely. That's huge. And then seeing Lamar Jackson using his legs, but intelligently, right? He's not running wild. He's not like Will Levis trying to truck defenders. He's just getting out there. He's running. He's falling down. He's sliding. He's jumping down. Whatever it takes. He's able to stay out of trouble while still being electric. Like there were so many plays where you're just like, oh, Ravens drive is over. It's like third down, and then Lamar just like scramble, scramble, scramble. And you're like, oh, never mind. And we're used to seeing it. Ravens fans are used to seeing it. But Joshua, everybody listening, have you ever watched a Ravens game with a non-Ravens fan that doesn't watch every game?
Oh man.
Like, oh my God. They're sitting there and they're like, whoa, oh my God, how did he? And I'm like, oh yeah, this is every play. Like this is every drive this happens. This ain't like something crazy. Like he's just doing that because that's who he is. Like he's that explosive. He's probably, it's hard to say, but Lamar Jackson's got to be in the top 5, top 3 most entertaining quarterbacks to ever watch. It's probably him and Vic way above everybody else. And then below them, then you get to the kind of like really fun passers, guys like Rodgers, Favre, Mahomes that are like true gunslingers. Like Josh Allen's a lot of fun to watch. Like Lamar and Vic, it's like they're very different players. They play very different ways, but both of them just have that electricity of the way that they play. Where you're just like, dude, nobody else is doing that ever.
Hey, what Cam Newton say? Difference makers. It's different when you got a difference maker on your team versus a systematic guy, a game manager. So, it does hold. I know people may disagree to agree with Cam and the way how he feels, but it holds weight. Cam Newton was a difference maker, y'all. And we saw what he did in the league. And when you got a difference maker around some pretty decent talent, things can happen. Things can happen.
And shout out to Cam. It's really unfortunate that the social media era wasn't nearly as big as it was back then. And so many kids, the Cam Newton they see is like end of Carolina and New England Cam Newton. It's like Cam Newton had like blown out his shoulder and his like rotator cuff and his collarbone. They'd all been destroyed. And it was like, so we couldn't do anything anymore. But Cam Newton rookie year through like 2017, I feel like, dude, that guy was unbelievable. Like it was like if the Panthers were on, you were watching because he was just dynamic.
Who was interested in Auburn football? like, let's be for real. Let's be for real. He was literally on a roster with Tim Tebow, and he got out of there.
Yeah,
like, listen. That was
we only like Auburn when they play Alabama. That's like the only time anybody ever watches Auburn is they have Cam Newton or they're playing Alabama. It's one of the two.
I'm trying to tell you, was it
like how much do people like watching Bo Nix? Because they weren't watching Bo Nix at Auburn.
Thank you. As soon as he went to Oregon, what's been going on? I mean, granted, he's been in the school for about 6-7 years, but still.
Yeah, you might have played with Cam.
But the crazy thing was, he played against Justin Herbert.
He did, yeah. I think it was freshman year. Bo Nix beat Justin Herbert.
I think so.
I remember that game. Shout out to Bo Nix for that one. I was very excited about that.
The Super Bowl for Baltimore is such a cakewalk path. It's so obvious.
This is true. The Jaguars are tough. Like the Jaguars have been beaten kind of badly a few times. Sure. But at the same time, it's like they got Trevor Lawrence. They have playmakers on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. Like I feel like they always have a chance. Even against Cincinnati, like they were getting beat bad. And then all of a sudden it was like, you look at the game, or maybe it was Cleveland. Cincinnati and Cleveland, I think it was the same with both of them, where it was like, dude, they like kind of come back at the end. And you're like, oh, how did they kind of stand it? Because they're down like 20 in the fourth. And all of a sudden they like lose by 4. And you're like, oh. What happened? It's like, dude, they just get hot. We saw what they did to the Ravens last year. I'll say that much.
Yeah, man. I mean, we definitely at the end of the day, it's Ravens football. You can't never, say, hey, it's going to be a cakewalk because any given Sunday, Monday, Thursday night, even Friday or Saturday, anything can happen. And sometimes the Baltimore Ravens, we have seen it, and we have seen it way too many times. We play down to our competition, or we play, higher to our competition. So I won't. I don't think we're taking any team lightly, which is the great thing. I feel like when you hear Lamar Jackson and other teammates, being interviewed, they all keeping a level head, and they all sound more focused and determined than anything. And excuse me, I'm glad we had to buy so late because we needed the rest. Granted, I know we all as Raven fans were going through it, watching the defense, letting the Rams move up and down the field, but they had to knock the rust off. And once they knocked the rust off, we also saw what both sides of the ball could do. With Lamar still staying in the pocket, making those passes, still staying strong, and the defense still getting at the Matthew Stafford and things of that nature. So the late bye played great in our favor for us because we still came out with the W. And I feel like like we talked about on previous episodes before, McConnell, we are the little engine that could. We've been throwing coal to this train, and we've been moving, and once we get to moving, we can't be stopped. And I feel like with this team, with consistency and execution, it's gonna be a hell of a ride for Lamar Jackson to get a contract extension and get a Super Bowl and possibly Super Bowl MVP in year number 6.
Yeah, I'll say this. I'll be the first one to buy a number 1 Lamar Jackson jersey. Waiting on it.
Hey, man. Hey, man, we may have to find a way to get to Vegas, man, just to be in the vicinity if we make it.
I wish the Super Bowl wasn't in Vegas. It's so expensive.
It's hell. I already started looking up some prices, man, just to get over there. I'm like, God dang.
Yeah, like tickets are like $10,000. I guess you show up with $100. How many hands of blackjack are you away? Let's see.
Oh man.
All right. 2 to the 7th. Okay. Yeah. Yep. You're 7 hands of blackjack away from buying Super Bowl tickets in Vegas. If you show up with $100.
Man, I'm gonna have to find an Airbnb and call it a day, brother. Whew.
All right. I think that's probably going to wrap it up. It's about, what is it, 8 o'clock now, East Coast time. I got to do it, but shout out to the Lakers in-season tournament championship. And the Dodgers got Ohtani. Yeah, you're having a good week, Joshua.
Hey, man, listen.
At least sports-wise.
Man, listen, I can't be mad at that at all,
Yeah, we're gonna see how it all pans out. Make sure everybody come through before the pregame show on Sunday, and should be a lot of fun. Can't wait to see you all again then.